day, legend. This is your boy Legendary Johnny, and in this video, I'll be giving you the June important news and the June Ukraine Russia news. So we'll be first wrapping up June by going through the important news, but first with the power of editing. Every day that have important news will come up on your stream right after the power of pausing. Welcome back, legends, to the June important news roundup. So let's dive right into it. So the first day is that June 1st. On this day, we had the US stopping notifications needed by the START Treaty, which includes updating the status and the location of treaty accountable objects such as nuclear missiles and launchers between the United States and the Russian. So both of these nuclear powers have now started notifying each other of where each other nuclear missiles and launchers are located or the status of them. Right? Moving on. June 12th, we had the beginning of Air Defender 23, which involved the biggest deployment of Air Force in NATO history. And we also had evacuations plans prepared by the US for American citizens in Taiwan. Then on June 14th, we had Russia now has complete authority to destroy underwater communication cables. This was because Medvedev was saying that because this is him accusing the US of blowing up Nord Stream pipeline. So he's now saying that Russia now has authority to destroy Western underwater communication cable, right? But that's just a statement, but it's still important enough to mention, right? Then the next thing is that Belarusian storage and deployment sites have received Russian tactical nuclear bombs and missiles. Then the next thing is that the pro-Russian activist schools killed anonymous and revealed intentions to take down the entire European financial system within the next 48 hours from June 14th. That never happened, by the way, so it was the fear-mongering news. On June 14th, now, moving on, we had many organizations around the world hit by Chinese hackers. Then the next thing is that Polish border guards allegedly came under fire from Belarusian soil, according to a statement from Polish government. Then the next thing is that on June 19th, we had the US delegations going over to China to meet with the Chinese delegation to come to some form of agreement to set up military to military communication between the two countries, but China has rejected it. So this meeting was seen as a failure. Then the next thing is that Congress urged Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who was testifying before a congressional committee, to prepare for China to dump $859 billion in US Treasury debt notes overnight. Then now, moving on to the next day that had important news, which was June 20. So on June 20, we had Washington being alarmed that negotiations between China and Cuba to build new joint military training center on the island of Cuba, which might place Chinese troops barely 100 miles off the coast of Florida. Then moving on to June 23rd. On June 23rd, we had the Russia-Wagner bizarre situation where Wagner, her PMC, chief was accusing the Russia and top brass of trying to assassinate him and killing some of his men in the process. And it led to our whole mini civil war, but it never went to a coup because for some reason there was a deal struck and then peace got back over there. Then the last thing for June important news on June 27, we had, according to Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, 2 Russian frigates were spotted in the Taiwanese defense zone earlier today. Taiwanese military replied by directing the deployment of aircraft and naval ships in the direction of the frigates to monitor those frigates, as well as activating shore-based anti-ship batteries, with the ships finally leaving the area without any incident. Then the next thing is that riots broke out in Nateri, France. I hope I said that right. Right. This was because a 17-year-old boy was slain by the police. Now, these riots are still ongoing in France, right? In my personal opinion, it's reached civil unrest, right? Right? It's probably approaching anarchy because I've seen some videos where the rioters are shooting literally weapons that they looted from police stations and police vehicles and armories as well. Then the last thing is that Russian diplomats were forced to leave the US after 3 years stay in US, and they will depart from Washington on June 27 aboard the Russian presidential plane, right? Now this caused some mini panic that this was them trying to evacuate their people out of Washington for the worst case scenario that was deemed false and fear-mongering. It was just that their time was up. All right, but that's all for June important news. We're going to be moving on to June Ukraine Russia important news, but with the power of not editing, with the power of pausing. I do this raw, so there's no editing that goes into these videos, but with the power of pausing, I'll see you right back with Ukraine Russia news. Welcome back to the second and final part of this video, where I'll be discussing with you, well, not discussing, I'll be recapping all the June Ukraine Russia important news that has happened in June. So let's start off with June 12th. So on June 12th, we had an explosion on a railway here in Crimea that resulted in a temporary halt in freight activities that supplied Russian lines. Then we had numerous villages captured by Ukraine forces. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing these names, guys. I'm just going to completely bugger these names, but so for the sake of respect, I just read it right on the screen, right? But let's just move right on. And the last thing that has happened on June 12th is that a Russian missile attack on Kyiv. You see why I did not bother pronouncing those 7 villages in the second item of this day, right? But anyways, so that town or area, I should say, struck a 5-story residential complex in that area in Ukraine, right? There was no injuries or deaths reported for that Russian missile attack that day. Now the next day, which is June 13th, on June 13th we had Major General Sergei Goyachev killed on Zaporozhye front. Then the next thing is that new military aid for Ukraine at $325 million worth was announced by the US. Then the last thing for that day is that Odessa was hit by a Russian missile attack. Then on June 18, we had heavy fighting occurred in Zaporozhye region on the front line. So added information on this is that due to the relentless assault, the Russian forces had to withdraw from a town in Pyaki. I hope I said that right. I know I probably buggered that name very badly. I apologize if I did. To the east of Lhov late that morning. And the Russian forces later went back to counterattack. Based on the reports on that day, the counterattack failed. And then the last thing that happened on June 18 is that Russian army withdrew from Rivnopil in Donetsk Oblast. Right? And then the last day that had important Ukraine-Russia news is that on June 22nd, we had, according to Russian reports, a Ukrainian breakthrough through Russian defensive lines in Ruptny has occurred. Also, we had President of Ukraine warning of a terror attack by Russia against Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Up to this day, he's still worried about this terror attack is still coming. So let's hope that that does not happen because that's a major red line for NATO. I went into full details already when I did the summary video about the UK important news on that day. So you can just look in my channel for that for more information. Then the next thing is that over the Caspian Sea, we had cruise missiles X-101 were launched into Ukraine. And then the final thing that has happened on June 22nd in Kyiv, a new call for general mobilization was issued. Alright? So these are all the stuff that has happened in June, right? Both in the Ukraine-Russia war and both in the general important news world, right? I hope you all enjoy my videos, right? If you did, just please hit that like button. If you did, just hit that dislike button. It's up to you, right? As well as hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this, as well as post what are your thoughts on the videos or any event that you want me to summarize things. You can post it in the comment section down below. But alright guys, I think that's all I had to say for this video. I hope to see you all in the next one. Oh, legend. Oh.